It got us to a point, you know. I think with the talent that we had on this team and how we were progressing, even when he was a head coach, we were moving in that direction. I think what happened when Phil came on, he gave us a system, you know, to work within. That's when the triangle basically evolved. Up to that point, it was a lot of individual talent, and Doug seemed to utilize that to get to, you know, the level that we were. Could we have won it with Doug? Yeah, I think we can sit here and debate that all the time, but you know, I feel that, you know, the change was made and we made the best of it.
Let's just say this way: Doug gave great intensity to the team. Great work. I mean, guys came and worked real hard every day, and they learned that work ethic that's really important to win.
I think
and that
Doug,
really helped.
I think he really made a mark on myself and a guy like Horace, who were young players, because he used his intensity night in and night out to push us and get the best out of us while we were still young players.
Phil, you took over. When you did take over this ball club, what did you feel was missing?
Well, it's really obvious what was missing. What was missing was a well-rounded offense, because we had so many offensive things that ended up with Michael having to do it. We were trying to run a point guard offense, but ultimately we didn't have a point guard. John Paxson was not a point guard because ultimately they could put an Isaiah Thomas on him. They could put someone with quicker speed. We tried different types of point guards. And ultimately, when we got to Detroit, we had to put Michael at point guard because he's the only one that could really bring the ball up the floor. Well, the concept of a system offense is that you have varieties of people that can bring the ball up the court, and we saw Scotty as potentially a person that could be the lead guard in his team, relieving Michael the pressure of doing that. That was what was ultimately the difference 2 years later when we were able to withstand that kind of pressure you get in big-time series.
But the triangle offense, the Zen philosophy, all that stuff, how quickly did you guys buy into it?
It took a while. Couple of years. It took at least 3 years before we fully understood the system. And Phil was very patient, as well as Tex, who implemented it all together and came up with the concept. And it just took some time for us to connect and understand that, you know, each other as a team and you know, act instinctively instead of always knowing exactly a certain play. Systematically, we started to read each other and made it tougher for defense to try to defend.
Let me ask you about the last time you played the Pistons. It was your third year in a row. Again, it's an Eastern Conference Finals. This time, it goes to 7 excruciating games.
Well, in the Philadelphia series, which was about 3 weeks before then, Scotty's father had passed away and he had gone and left the team. We'd had to rally around a big game on Mother's Day, but he came back for the Tuesday game in that series, and we got around Scotty because, you know, he had been apart from us for about 4 or 5 days, gone through a traumatic thing. And, you know, we felt like, you know, this is a guy that, you know, really needed some support in our system, at least, and what we wanted to do. And that's why we did that type of a thing. But, you know, it just doesn't go away. Losing a family member as important as your father doesn't go away in one gathering or a funeral ceremony or whatever else. As we all know, it takes a year or a long process for those things to disappear.
When you lost that game, what was your thought process? What were you thinking? I mean, because you had been to that step again.
Well, Jerry Krause came through the door after we had a meeting, and I think kind of took the edge out. He was, in his own way, kind of mad, but it was kind of intense in a way that is only Jerry Krause can do. Right. And so we all kind of just put it to bed, and we said, you know, we were really disappointed in ourselves. Jerry was kind of mad at us for what had happened, but we knew there's nothing to be mad about. We just weren't grown up enough to go through that series against a team that'd been through, you know, an Eastern Finals, 2 championships, World Championships, and they were still a little bit better than us in the subtleties and the intensity of the game. We weren't quite mature enough.
They were mentally, I felt they were tough because they'd been together for so long, and they have made the progress that we were making. But after we lost that last game, it was a sense of determination that it wouldn't happen again. You know, last time. The next time we get that opportunity, we certainly were going to prove ourselves as a team. And, you know, amongst that, Scottie Pippen's headache and all that, it was unfair treatment to him. Yes. And as you know, a lot of times when the expectations are so high and you don't live up to it, they look for reasons why you never achieved that. And he was the target at the time. And we, as Phil said, surrounded and supported Scotty because he helped us get to that point. And it was unfortunate that he was put in that predicament to accept the blame. And we all were to blame in not finishing the game and not living up to the expectations.
Yeah.
And the next year and the championships to follow are coming up next.
Reflections on a Dynasty, a conversation with Phil, Michael, and Scotty. Brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
The Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship.
We're back with Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen, kind of reflecting and reliving the Bulls championship run. And let's go back, guys, to the championship, the first season. The regular season, it's not often that when you talk about 3 championships in a row, you're able to focus in on any one moment of the regular season. But one that we thought about was when you go to Auburn Hills in February, you and the Pistons are kind of nip and tuck in the division, that type of thing. You guys are in the process of winning 11 games in a row. You go to Auburn Hills to win for the first time. How significant was that when you went up there in February?
Well, that was really a big game, but it had started, at the All-Star break, I think, and it continued to that weekend. The All-Star break, we kind of had, remember, a little bit of a situation in which some guys had dallied around. We went into Orlando and lost a ball game in Orlando.
Right before the playoffs.
And
before the All-Star break.
And we should have won that game, and I was really unhappy because the guys had not really been dedicated to what we were trying to do. And we just got down to business. After that, everybody just got down to business and did the things, the sacrifices they had to make in their personal life. And when we came into Auburn Hills that night, we had some trouble because obviously Bill Cartwright got kicked out of that ball game.
Right.
And we had to play underhanded or undermanned. Right. And we had to buck up everybody from the bench on up, and that was a big game for us.
It was a big game because we hadn't really had that much success in Detroit. And, they knocked us out of the playoffs the year before. So to win on their court, not full strength, with Bill being out, was a great confidence builder. Anytime we played in that building from that point forward, that we knew we could beat this team, at their home court. So that carried right through the rest of the season and even in the playoffs.
And when you got to the playoffs, Scotty, to face the Pistons once again in the playoffs, for what, 4th year in a row was it that you'd faced the Pistons? 3rd time in the Eastern Conference Championship? I mean, what were your thought process going into that game?
Well, I had pretty much predicted that we were going to sweep them in that series. So
you did.
I had a lot of confidence in our ball club at that time. I think we had really turned our season around completely from the last season. We've started to show a lot of maturity mentally and physically, and it was a great series for us to go in and have to face the Pistons and know that before we can get to the championship level that we had to beat the basketball team.
It's almost like if you didn't get to beat the Pistons, you know what I mean? There might have been something missing from that championship.
You bet.
Right.
It's kind of funny, but when they walked off the court before the game was over, what were you guys thinking?
It didn't bother us. We felt like we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish.
They showed their true colors. They really did.
Totally. I mean,
That's the answer I was looking
totally.
for.
I mean, for the first 3 or 4 years that we faced this team, every time they would knock us out, I mean, it hurt us to go over there and shake their hands. We showed the sportsmanship that, to support them from the Eastern Conference to go on and be successful. And we just knew, because of their personality and the way that they, their rivalry against us, that they were going to pay the same respects back. But they didn't have to, because we knew that we dominated the series, and we knew we were over that hump, and we didn't have any fear. We felt we were a superior team.
Okay, so you go to the Lakers series. Game 1, Chicago Stadium. People have been waiting for this for years, for 20-some years in Chicago Bulls history. Sam Perkins hits a three-pointer at the end, and you're down 1-0, and you're about to join the '69 Cubs. What were you thinking then?
We were very nervous, first of all. It's the first time we made it to a final, and everyone was saying, well, you have to go to a final the first time to lose so you know how to win it the second time. And I guess when we had an opportunity to win the ball game in the first game, even though we didn't play our best basketball, we took a moral victory from that. And from that point forward, we felt we were better as a team, more mature as a team, and ready to accept the challenge. And I think we went back to the drawing board more or less and drew up our strategies and stuck right to it, and we never really had a problem after that.
I got to ask you, the lasting image, I don't care how many championships you guys win, will be of you with the cap on, the trophy embraced, and crying on the trophy. Can you give us your thoughts? What were you thinking then? What was that all about?
It was an unbelievable feeling. I've been here at the time, I was here for 8 years almost, and the saying was the Chicago Bulls would never win with the scoring leader. Michael Jordan scored too many points, and that there's no way that they would be able to win. And it was gratifying to see that all the so-called perfect critics who knew the game were totally wrong about me as a basketball player being able to adjust to a certain system, and yet still as a team we can evolve and become a championship team in the city of Chicago. So I mean, all those frustrations and those expectations that the fans or that the sports writers had about me as a person and about this organization was put to rest, and that was a gratifying feeling.
When, you know, in that game in the fourth quarter, they started to focus on Michael and the defense, and I said, Michael, just find Paxi. He's gonna. They're all attacking you, and everything, you know, about Michael is that, you know, he takes a challenge and he rises to a challenge. Well, I knew that the challenge is that Michael comes out and has a 40-point game. We win the championship. What a great way to do it. But he had to sacrifice a little bit of that. Just drop it over to Pax and let Pax nail those shots. I don't know what he had, 6, 7 shots in a row. It was just something to watch. It was a piece of work, and we were able to just control that game from that point on. But it was a team effort, and he showed exactly what it takes to win a championship, and that is that it has to be a team. It's the way it is.
Yeah, Michael's kind of a control freak of these things when you get to this stage on the floor, isn't he?
Yes. I mean, as Phil said, he takes everything as a challenge. And,
Absolutely.
During that game, I think that he realized that, you know, he had to distribute the ball and use his ability to draw the defense and pitch the ball. And you know, that's something that he realized that he's good at, whether or not he'd like to do it or not.
I guess that's the final act of selflessness that you talk about.
That was it. You know, that was the team play that it took. Besides, we've always played team defense. I mean, that's always been an area we know we had to play as a team, is help each other out in defense. But the offensive end, I mean, you know, Michael makes scoring so easy that sometimes it's hard for him to give it up because he can do it so well. I've never seen anybody do it quite so well. But this time, you know, he had to move it on because they were all coming, and it was 3-on-1, and so he just made the simple thing to do.
When we come back, the second championship season.
The Chicago Bulls have won the NBA championship for the second straight season.
I thought that second year, you guys played with a real, quote-unquote, as Mike Ditka used to say, chip on your shoulder through the whole season, and had, up to that point, the best regular season in Bulls basketball history. What was the feeling on this team as you started that year?
Well, it was an incredible year for us. I mean, that year was like these last two that we've had. We just were walking through this league, and it was an incredible amount of points we're winning by. I mean, it was, we went on the West Coast swing. Michael was hurt. We still came out and won all these games. You know, there was no accident in what we were doing. I mean, everybody just put their shoes back on and left the Forum Arena, it seemed like, and started a new season. We had 11 guys back from the other team, and you know, we were all in sync together, and just a little more mature and moved better off.
As far as, I guess, the firebranding, every championship comes at some kind of cost. Somebody is going to test you somewhere along the line. You guys didn't have a whole lot of testing going on during the regular season, but boy, you sure got it in the playoffs against the Knicks. Michael, tell us about that grueling 7-game series with the Knicks.
Well, what was happening was, because of the Detroit Pistons and the way they won, a lot of teams were trying to use that brutal type of play, the physical play, and the Knicks was one of those teams where they built on, you know, intimidation, players who tried to physically demean you or make you scared of them. Xavier McDaniels, Charles Oakley, and Patrick Ewing being the three nucleus on that team, used a lot of intimidation to try to have us back down from our, the way we were playing, and have a sense of fear. We never had that. We never folded to that. And I guess the standing up to Xavier, who was trying to do exactly what Rodman has done 3 years, and trying to provoke Scotty to do, get away from the game, get out of his game, and get more into a confrontational thing. And as a leader, I had to step in and more or less support him, and I know he would do the same for me, and put the thing back on a level where let's just go out here and play the game of basketball. Let our basketball do our conversation and our talking, and show that we're not afraid of the physical play. We're going to play our style of basketball game, and we're going to show you guys that we can beat you at your own game, but we can do it with the game of basketball instead of with a lot of mouth. People
still test you, Scotty, on the floor physically. I mean, it seems like to me, everyone seems to feel that if we can get Scottie Pippen into a bump and grind, physical type of game, we can take him out of the game. Does that still bother you? And is this something you're seeing every day?
It doesn't bother me because, I understand that, that's the type of defense that any individual feel like that works to their advantage against me because of my speed, my sides, that if you can get into my body and play me physical, then you can kind of control me a little better. So I understand it from a basketball standpoint. If I was a coach, I would tell my players to play that opponent the same way. So I just have to go out and play through it, and most of the time I just try to keep moving. I think that's my best weapon.
Well, I think what it is they know they can't get to me, so.
That's exactly
That's
it.
exactly. They feel they can't get into my head, so let's go to the next best player. Or,
Right. Just take number 2 scorer out of the system,
Right.
and maybe we can step up and discombobulate what they're trying to do, and that's one of the things I think that has been a prevalent theory over the years. I mean, everybody's trying to get the next best guy to stop Pippen on the Bulls, but Scotty has been able to discount that or disfigure that thing so much but it seems to be the only alternative.
The next step in that second championship season was Portland. It turned into a 6-game series, and the great thing about that was you were able to win it at home. How much did that mean to win at the old stadium, to win at least one of your championships there?
Boy, I tell you, Michael will have to answer that because he'd been playing there for so many games, man.
It was great. I mean, that place is always rocking. It's always been, as you said earlier, with the Chicago being wait till next year attitude. We've all that building has had so many special events in it that it's never had a championship team in there, and so I think it was entitled to have at least a celebration in there. Before they moved into the new building, and the feeling that we got after winning the second championship in that building was unbelievable, and the way we did it, with myself sitting on the bench and. The second team came in, Bobby Hansen making the big shot to ignite our comeback. It was unbelievable, and I think that that whole series was a nip and tuck. I mean, we felt we had the game won in the second with the second game, and when Drexler fouled out, next thing you know, they come back and win that game in overtime. So we found ourselves in a deficit, but we went right back out in Portland and won a couple games there to bring it back to Chicago and to win it there. So, I mean, it was really a treat to win it in the old stadium.
Was that team your best? Was that the best team you've played on?
It was the deepest. I think it's from 1 to 12.
Yeah,
we really had a lot of depth on that team.
Yeah, I felt the rhythm that team had, being together for so long. I mean, we could always find a way to win just by riding someone else's coattail. And I think from 1 to 12, as Phil said, it was always connected. I mean, I think that was the difference of that ball club. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can look at our team right now, and we're more talented as individuals, but in terms of being as connected and being together and learning the system and let the system work, that was the best team, I think.
Is that your take on it, Scotty?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that at that time, the talent-wise, we were a great team. I mean, we were young, we were energetic, and to look at us now, we feel like that back then we were at our prime.
When we resume, the Bulls go for 3 in a row.
3 straight NBA championships. A 3-point shot by John Paxson, the game winner.
So you win it 2 years in a row. Now you go for the three-peat. Hasn't been done since the Celtics of the 60s. How much of a motivation at the start of the season, Phil, was that target?
Well, that was tremendously a motivation. We knew we were going to go out there and win another championship. So much so that these guys are reassuring me during the course of the year that, hey, it'll be okay.
Because it was no smooth sailing,
We'll
was
be
it?
all right.
We weren't winning big.
No.
We weren't winning a lot of games. I mean, we won a 57. The Knicks replaced us in first place in the East, or in the Eastern Conference. We still knew that we intrinsically knew how to win, even though the Knicks were a better team than they were the year before. They were a lot better team, and they'd made a run at us from that department.
Let me ask you guys, Michael and Scotty, it seemed to me from being around that team that it was a very trying season.
It was a grind. I think it was just human nature in some respects. I
Sure.
mean, when you try to do things repeatedly, I mean, you lose a certain edge, then you have a lot more of the ego and the personalities coming into play. And I think it was trying because of that fact that we were successful, and we all wanted that success individually, but yet we had to realize that success came because of the collective effort that we put on the basketball court. And it was some contract years for other people, and it just started to divide because it wasn't, as the previous years, how connected and how collective we thought. And it was just human nature. I mean, just so that you had those problems, those challenges of trying to maintain unity, and somehow we did. We fought against human nature in certain ways, and went out on the basketball court and stayed connected. Off the court, it was a little bit different, but on the court, we was always connected.
We're glad it got to be the playoffs. That year, the season was long, but when the playoffs came, we were happy the playoffs were there, so we get down to business and everybody do what they had to do best.
You get into the series with Phoenix, and you win the first 2 games in the desert.
It's going out. It's going out there.
2 games to none.
But it's going out there. When we get on the plane to go out there, Michael goes up and down the plane and tells the guys that we're going to go out there and beat them on their own court.
Right.
And they've been winning.
That's going out for game 1.
Yeah, that's starting the series. We've been watching this team trounce everybody in their brand new building that year.
And it just got Barkley, and it seemed to be, right where they wanted to be, have an opportunity to win the first championship because of the trade of getting Barkley out there. I just knew we were a better team, so I think we needed to push mentally to go out there and believe that we could win on their home court. I mean, that's the toughest thing, and that's the most challenging thing, is to go on the road and win. And we had to believe that. It's just us against the rest of the people in that building. And so, right from day one, I always felt we could win. It's just a matter of going out there and believing in ourselves.
All right, but then you get on the plane with a huge stogie. Now tell us that story.
Well, I get on the plane. I felt that the morale was down because when we left Phoenix after being 2 up, no one wanted to go back to Phoenix. And from Horace to ourselves, we wanted to end this thing in Chicago because there was a great celebration the year before in Chicago Stadium if we won it in Chicago. So the city started preparing. So when we lost Game 5, it was the morale was so low because here they had the advantage again. We had our opportunity to win it here in Chicago. It was some negative thoughts. I didn't want the negative thoughts to come into play because we were still in control. We were 3 up. We were 3-2. So when I got on the plane with the cigar, I'm saying, everyone's wondering, well, what is he doing? We got a big game, coming up. But what I was trying to do was instill the confidence that, hey, we can win on this road. We're proving that we can win in their building. So why not go in with the confidence that, hey, this is going to end. I got one suit packed. We're going to win 1 game. We're going to celebrate and come back home. So the confidence, I wanted to give that confidence so everyone to feed off of it, and we can go out there and do our jobs.
And you won. And you got it done in Game 6. And I remember being in the locker room, and the feeling I got from you guys was one more of relief than exaltation. Tell us, where were you coming from?
Well, I think, the season had been so long. I mean, to win 3 championships, you don't know the amount of basketball, the amount of time you spend on the practice court.
And from the
Olympics, I mean, it was such a long season. And we were just physically drained, mentally drained. And to be able to win it and, to feel like that we had put ourselves in a position among any other NBA teams, it was great for us.
Now, Coach, you didn't draw that 3-point play up on the board, right? That kind of happened out of desperation.
Actually, that was a sequence of which we wanted to run. We wanted to run that kind of sequence. The ball was going to go the way it was going to go, but it was just that Horace was wide open.
Right.
And they had made
the
a
first
jump.
option was to come off with
blind pick.
Blind pick. If I was open, to give it to me driving to the hole.
Right.
Well, in that play, as I was going to the hole, I brought a lot of attention because I just scored a layup. Horace was wide open, so when he threw it to Horace, well, Horace had the notion that he hadn't made any free throws. He didn't want to get fouled, so it was like a toss back, right back to Pax. So, which is great ingenuity. I mean, he had that feeling that it was a better shot here, and Pax went for the win. I mean, that's the gutsiness that Paxson always had, and he had the confidence that he could make a game-winning shot. When he went up for the shot, it was no doubt in my mind that he was going to make that shot. It was just a matter of being there for rebounds if you missed it, and then defensively to put the pressure back on them.
But the play really was designed pretty much.
You started with the ball, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, I think BJ entered inbound to Michael. I stepped up the middle of the free throw line and caught the ball, and I think my man kind of
Jumped
dived
at
for the ball.
Jumped at me as I went
and I
past.
turned and went, and I found Horace. I don't think myself or Horace wanted the ball at that time. So, as Michael said, it really was a toss back from me to Horace and out to Pax, and he finished it with a great shot.
Just like you drew it up.
Well, that's a concept that we like to have.
Yeah.
Think about it as a
A lot of
team.
different options.
That's right. That's part of what your base offense is all about, right? Yeah. We will be back. The next turn in the Bulls' fortunes was totally unexpected by those outside the club.
Reflections on a Dynasty, a conversation with Phil, Michael, and Scotty. Brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball.
October 8th, 1993. I guess that's a day that would live in basketball infamy. You still remember the date, Michael?
Oh yeah, I definitely remember it. And I remember the emotions and the moment, and talking with Phil, and you know, talking to the players who came up, and we had a great conversation. Tony Kukoc, who I've never met at the time, came into this room, and you know, when he broke down in tears, that really softened what I was actually about to do, because here this guy was showing emotions and he never had the opportunity to play with me, and I felt guilty that I was taking that opportunity away from him. But at the time, you know, mentally I wasn't really where I wanted to be, and I needed a break. And you know, my father just passed. You know, we just finished our third championship season where, you know, we had a lot of different personalities, you know, going against each other, and we didn't seem to be, you know, in the same frame of mind as we were the first two. And you know, and the pressure that I was dealing with at the time, you know, was just too much, and I needed a break. I needed a change, and Phil tried to talk me out of it. He actually, you know, gave me a lot of things to think about, and I gave him one. But I said, if you can give me one challenge that I can look forward to this season, you know, that could motivate me, then certainly I could change my thought. And you know, he tried one in terms of, you know, just being God-gifted talent, and you know, you're depriving a lot of people of, you know, an opportunity to enjoy that, and you know, that really wasn't, you know, enough for me to push myself into the next season, and I didn't really have the sense of motivation. And you know, it was a great career at the time, and I felt when I walked away that was it.
It really needed it, and it was a good decision, but it cost the White Sox. We won in the morning that day, and the White Sox recovered in the playoffs.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, they were in the middle of that playoff series when that announcement was made.
Game, yeah.
What did you tell your club, Phil, when you went back upstairs after? Because we were all here for that announcement, and then you went back upstairs to a club that was odds-on favorite an hour earlier to win another NBA championship, and now, I mean, you could count the number of games you'd won on one hand without Michael in the lineup over the previous years.
Yeah. Well, I actually went to the board, and I wrote on the board what the odd changes were in Vegas. And I can't even remember what it was. It was like 2 to 1 to 20 to 1?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It went dramatically the opposite direction. And I said, you know, I thought it was a great challenge, an opportunity for our ball club to play together as a team and show that we were 9 members of a championship team that were coming back again to try and win this thing. And even though Michael had been the most valuable player on this team, I thought that we had a great shot to be a team that could really show our mettle and defend our championship.
Scotty, you stepped into a part of the void, Michael's void, that had nothing to do with on court, but had everything to do with off court. You went from the little brother to the big brother. Now you were in charge. Can you kind of explain your feelings and thoughts and your relationship with Michael?
Well, I tried to give the basketball team what Phil wanted us to have when Michael was there. He didn't really want that one guy taking all the shots. He wanted the ball to be moved. He wanted his system to work. And that's what I tried to provide for our ball club. I didn't want to be out there and be put in a position where I had to be the guy taking all the shots and shooting a poor percentage, but still trying to create for the team. I wanted to see if our system could work. I felt like it had worked for us in the previous championship games, and I had to be the guy to get everybody to believe in it.
How about off the court? Every night, standing up there, all the microphones, all the...
It was tough. You know, I really enjoyed the opportunity of playing with Michael and having him there. And when I wanted to deal with the media, I deal with it. And when I didn't, I could sneak out. You know, it was never brought up. But you know, after Michael left, it was kind of another job that was kind of pinned on me.
Phil, tell us a little bit from your perspective, that season as it unfolded.
Well, you know, the real thing that was a change in our years, we started out without Scotty on the team. He'd had an operation. We were just kind of muddling along, and then we came home from the West swing, and we'd gone, you know, I don't know whether we were like 3-7 or 4-7 or something like that. About a month into the season, Scotty came back. The first game we got back home, and bang, off we went.
Did you play Phoenix?
Yeah, we played Phoenix.
And blew him out, didn't you?
Blew him out. He had a 35-point game, and all of a sudden our season just took off, and we were fine. And Scotty was back, and he was live, and he was physically healthy, and it really, everything kind of fell into place from there on out.
You ran into the Knicks in the playoffs, and an interesting, to say the least, grueling series, wasn't it?
We started out in New York by leading them
Yeah.
for 3.5 quarters in the first game, in which at the end of the game, they took a kind of a wild shot with a 1-point lead. It came off the front lip and fell right in their hands, and so they got the ball back, and we ended up losing a game we probably should have won.
And that was a tremendous, that pressure all seemed to come to a head there.
Yeah, it did. I mean,
your whole season, not just that series, not just that game,
it did.
the
It was
whole
a lot
season.
brought up about it. I think I had a couple of technicals, the incident off the court about a gun situation I think happened that season, but it was. I mean, it was a lot of pressure upon myself, having to be the leader of the ball club at that time and having to step up, having a lot of attention drawn to me and pretty much being monitored on whatever I do.
And then the call in Game 5. How do you come, and Michael, from where you were sitting,
Hey, I was watching it all.
you were watching it all.
Yeah, I was
Did you
very-
keep in touch with all this?
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. I was very proud with the way they responded after what happened in the previous summer, and Scotty's game has evolved to where he deserves some of the light. I mean, for years that I was there, he never really got the focus that he deserved. I mean, he was a key catalyst to our success, and now he was getting the recognition that he truly deserved, but at the same time, he was the focus, and people were putting undue pressure on him off the court as well as on the court. And I felt it was a great learning experience for him to see exactly what I had to deal with for so many years. And I think it made him a better basketball player and a better person just to go through that. And at the end of the New York game, to end that series or that game the way they ended was not something that they would rightfully do. I mean, they put up a great effort all season long, and for it to come at a judgmental call at the end of the season like that was very, very hard for me to deal with. I'm sitting in the dugout watching the game, and I couldn't believe how they're taken away from us. And I was looking at the league.
You used the word us.
Yeah, because I always felt that I was a part of the team. I was still supporting them no matter where I was.
When we return to glory for the Bulls after these messages. When Michael got back into the mix, did the team have to kind of step back a second there and say, hey, wait a minute, we got to incorporate this enormous talent, something we didn't have? How tough was that on the floor as a player to reincorporate that?
I think naturally the guys stepped back. Steve, Judd, Tony, they've never played with Michael. They didn't know the intent of what he brings to the game, the camaraderie of crowds and people of that nature. It put him in a lot of awe.
Michael, what did you think? I mean, you left one team in June of 1993 as world champions. 17 months later, you come back. What did you think? I mean,
I just wanted to come relieve some of the pressure and be a part of the team. I missed them, and I missed being around them and being successful with them. And so I wanted to make that happen again. And it just wasn't. I wasn't ready for that at the end of the season, and I don't think we were ready as a team. And I vowed the next year that physically I was going to get myself into better shape, basketball shape, and I was going to do whatever I can to help some of these players understand what it meant to win a championship and the attitude that you had to carry.
Can I get biblical for a second? The spirit was willing, the flesh was weak?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, because that was one of the reasons I was there was to help finish the ball game. And yet, in trying to do that, I made a critical error that more or less changed the whole momentum of the series. They gained the confidence, and we were there in their place, about to win the first game and put them on their back heels, and we could have easily taken that series, and yet in one moment it changed all over, and from that point forward I was trying to do a little bit more than what I should have, because I didn't really. I lost the confidence.
Change his number, win it back. But the thing about it, Wayne, is maybe Michael has great sixth sense. God's gifted him with an aura of being able to understand where people are coming from, and he just didn't feel that guy coming from that angle that time, and it was not having played basketball, not really knowing the territory, and it was something. And even though we put it as a dream, kind of a theme to our postseason, I usually make a postseason kind of a dream theme, and that year, let's keep this miracle alive type thing. It wasn't going to happen for us because we didn't set down all the strokes the right way.
Right.
What you guys missed, basically, was rebounding. And you missed a defender in the interior. And you went out and you got Dennis Rodman. Now, again, Phil, I understand the motivation from management standpoint, and that was a great move.
Wayne, we would never made the move without checking first with Scotty and Michael. And even though, you know, Jerry had left the decision up to me, and he had entertained the thought, and I put down on paper 7 guys I thought could help us out. He was the 7th at the bottom of that list, simply because of what he brings with him, you know, his on the court and off the court behavior. He was probably the perfect person to come in that position, regardless of his thing. We knew that we're a professional enough group of guys that we could handle a distraction or a personality like Dennis's and incorporate him into our team. But we checked first with Scotty. Scotty said, hey, if you feel like you can coach him, so be it. Michael said, hey, this guy brings a lot of baggage. Same thing. Do you think he can run what we got to run, and he'll be able to do what we want him to do offensively? It's fine with me because you got to deal with him. And that's true.
You guys meshed almost immediately, it seemed like. You jumped out of the gate and never looked back.
He felt dedicated to fit in. I saw him in the summer, and I played a couple of pickup games when I was out in L.A., and he was very eager to be a part of a championship team again. He'd just come from, you know, San Antonio, where, you know, they've kind of put a bad label on him, and he never really felt like a winner with that team. And coming to Chicago, he wanted to get that attitude back. And, you know, as Phil's mentioned, I said, you know, I think he can fit, but you have to coach him. If you feel like he's coachable, then we as players could forget about what he's done to us in the past and think about what our opportunities are in the future, and that's where we approach it.
NBA history. I mean, 70-win season. It never happened. Was 70 just a number along the way?
We came in with a sense of urgency that we have to play well. We have to get back there to see if we can get back to the championship level again. And the regular season just happened for us. I think
we just took it game by game, and next thing you know, it started to accumulate. I mean, we never start the season off by saying we're gonna win 70 games. We just wanted to get back to the end result, which was a championship caliber team. Didn't know how many wins it was going to take, you know, in the course of the year to get us to that point. And, you know, Phil brought us along slow to where we began with the confidence. We came into games with confidence that we could win every game. You know, we never had that doubt. And when we got the 18-game winning streak, you know, that's when we really felt we had something special. And we lost maybe 2 games in a row, one time in the course of the whole year. And we believed in ourselves, and we had a certain attitude about each and every game once we stepped on the floor.
If I could go back to just one regular season game that season, it was Denver, the end of the 18-game winning streak.
Yeah.
You guys got down maybe
32 points.
32 points. Came back and took the lead. And maybe it was 5,000, whatever, how many feet there are in a mile that got you. But it seemed like that night I came away. I know we did that game, and I came away saying, this is real. They're going to win it all, no doubt.
It wasn't.
But you're right. That was really a telltale sign that this team would not say no. No way you're going to beat us. If you're going to beat us, you're going to have to run over us. You're going to have to knock us down. You're going to have to bury us 10 feet deep before we're beaten.
We continue with Phil, Scotty, and Michael after these messages. This is a very public achievement, Phil. I mean, when you're out riding your motorcycle or up in Montana in the cabin or whatever, I mean, do you ever sit back and reflect on it? And how do you think about it and remember it?
Well, it's not something I believe you reflect on. I think that you go through each day just looking for your next challenge or, you know, the next thing that's coming along. If you're going back and you're going to look back at all the things that have happened behind you, you're not going to have time to be ready for what's coming down the road at you. And that's the way it is when you're in this business. This is a warrior business. You know, you got to be prepared every step. You just can't rest on your laurels because someone's coming down the road ready to knock you down and take your spot. And so, you know, maybe when I'm 70, these guys are 50. they can sit back and laugh about it and think about all those great games. But right now, we're just enjoying what we're doing, getting ready for the next one.
How about you, Michael? Do you ever sit back and reflect a little bit?
Yeah, I do, Tom.
I mean, you must have during retirement especially.
Yeah, I think it's very special to have achieved what we have achieved at the evolving of where basketball's come and the talent that's come into the league and how much the game's progressed since the Celtic days. To win 4 out of 6 championships and 5 out of 7 after this year, I think really shows, you know, the quality of basketball that was played, the mastermind behind the whole process, and how we understood exactly what his teachings were, and we went on the basketball court, and we stayed focused each and every game to achieve what we wanted to achieve at the end of the season. I mean, that is unbelievable to do at this day and time, the way the game has evolved, and I truly believe that's something that's going to be specially remembered when we step away from the game.
Scotty, do you ever look back?
I don't. You know, as Phil said, I think you're too busy trying to see what's ahead for you. And, you know, I think that we've done something special in the game. And, you know, growing up as a kid and watching those Celtics and the Lakers and teams that were great back in those days, you know, I could never dream of myself being in that position. But, you know, I feel like that our basketball team has came to a point that where we're far beyond those teams.
I don't think any team plays on the edge that you guys play on. I mean, for you guys, it might be one more series, might be one more spring, and it could be all gone.
Sure.
I mean, Patrick Ewing is signed in New York for a number of years. All these guys will be back in one form or another with other teams. You guys, how much longer? Phil?
Well, it's, you know, we really haven't gone in this year thinking about that. I mean, there's no doubt about the fact we have great rapport and love for each other, and we really enjoy it. We're really tied to Scotty right now because he's still going to be back here next year.
Wait a minute, I thought you two guys were tied to the hips. Now you're attached to Scotty.
He's the only bull after this year, so you know, like that's something that really means something to us, is to see, you know, Scotty in his next phase of his contract, which is going on. I think both of us are just, you know, Michael, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm just going through this season, just enjoying this season, and you know, knowing that, you know, possibly I need a break from this. I mean, I've been doing this for a long period of time. I may just need a break, and it would be nice to step back and watch somebody else, you know, coach the Bulls or do it. But if we're going to continue on this dynasty, if they want to push it on another level, then so be it.
Yeah,
I think the fans want us to come back.
Sure.
But yet it's got to be right, and we want to finish this year off right, and when this year's finished off right, then we'll consider what next year has to be, and Barry Reinsdorf has a lot to do with that.
Right, and I think it's a sentimental thought from Phil and myself about Scotty. I mean, we certainly feel that we're entitled to leave or to walk away at the same time, or make sure he's taken care of before we leave. And we hope that we can put ourselves in that predicament so that it can happen. I think a lot has to do with the way we finish off the season. So that's where our focus is to make sure we accomplish what our job requires right now, which is to win another championship. And then we can certainly stand there to support Scotty whenever the necessary need comes. But I think that's just our thought is, you know, because we've shared so much, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, at least I do, before I leave again, that he's taken care of and that he's happy with I don't want to see him throwing chairs anymore. I just want to make sure he's taken care of.
Can you be taken care of here?
I don't know. You know, as Phil said, you know, it's up to Jerry Reinsdorf to see whether or not he wants to keep this group together. But, you know, I'm hoping that we have one more run for it.
You know, we, as fans, so often dwell on the future, you know, and what's going to happen next, or will you guys be together? And sometimes you lose focus of the moment, and I guess that's what you told us here tonight.
Right.
Focus on the moment. This is special, isn't it?
Enjoy it.
Right. It's very special.
Guys, thank you very much for taking time out with us. It has been truly an honor and a pleasure, and congratulations on the great run so far.
Thanks, Wayne.